Hi, Jason Ramage in Cincinnati. So we talked about talking to management teams. I'm curious if you also find it helpful to evaluate like frontline staff and hourly staff when you're looking at a business and their moat, and since they have no incentive to impress you, if you have any good stories, either that confirming your thesis or contradicting it.
Yeah, I find that to be very helpful, very interesting. In fact, that's one place where a service like In Practice can be phenomenally helpful. They don't necessarily access CEOs or CFOs. It's one or two levels below that C-suite level. Somebody who is, for example, in the case of Copart, somebody who has run a particular salvage yard in a particular location can give a lot of detail about the operations, the returns, and in fact, their interaction with the senior management team. So those types of sources are very helpful, and I, in fact, look for, one or two level below the C-suite interactions.
Or you can also look at like some of these job sites. I mean, you got to take this with a grain of salt, but it does provide you, people put comments on companies. You have to, I think you really need to calibrate the responses, because a lot of times people will have somewhat of a negative response, but if you can calibrate the responses correctly, I think you can get some good information from there also.
This reminds me of a story back when JCPenney went through the management change, and I had a friend who hired TaskRabbit to go to like every JCPenney location in the country and take pictures of the change of the store-in-store concept, and then chat up the cashiers there. And the takeaway from all that was that it was going great. So take it with a grain of salt.
But in a lot of consumer businesses, I think the best thing you can do is just to walk into the store, right? I mean, if those are relatively, and you have a sense of what, and what helps me a lot is to take my wife, because a lot of the stuff I'm sort of totally oblivious to, but if you have friends that experiences, and if you get an awesome customer experience, you can sort of see it. And I think in consumer businesses, that's something that you probably can get from, you can talk to people that are there too. Just go into the grocery store, talk to the person checking it out. I think there's a lot of stuff you can do along those lines. And for consumer-facing business, that's more difficult when you're dealing with B2B types of businesses. But consumer businesses, you can do a lot of stuff yourself, I think.
Yeah, there's some businesses we bought where we've talked mostly with brokers that sell the product instead of with the company itself. Usually whoever's involved in the sales process is the one who knows the most about what really matters, whether they can raise prices, what the customer really wants. And that's more useful in the ones that aren't consumer-facing, because you can't see that negotiation, and it's not always that clear in the 10K and stuff.
Or even here at Berkshire, I went and talked to a Clayton sales guy, talked with him, someone else that was in the business. There's a lot of different sort of things you can get in terms of, I would say there's somewhat non-standard ways. You're not intending to do it, but you somehow sort of fall into it from a conversation here or there. So,
cool. Thank you.
Yep.